Hello, Royals. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the QueenAShakur TV show. I'm your host, QueenAShakur. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. You can follow me on Instagram at QueenAShakur. You can also follow the QueenAShakur fan page, and you can follow me on Twitter at dgoddess27. Okay, so let's get into it, people. So now listen to this. Community people are upset because a college president in Kansas compared a black student's leadership abilities to Hitler's. Now I want you to pay attention because I want to see if you notice something here. A college president in Kansas is currently under fire after allegedly likening a black student's leadership to that of German dictator Adolf Hitler. Now, Deborah Fox, the president, she basically, talked about how there are some great leaders, good and bad. And then she goes on to say that even though we don't like it, Hitler was a great leader. That's what she said. Even though we don't like it, Hitler was a great leader. Now, at the time, students had gathered to discuss allegations of harassment against black football players by the team's assistant coach. In a recording obtained by the outlet, Deborah Fox reportedly singled out one of the more vocal black players, saying his statements were too negative and were having too much influence on other players. He somehow, even for evil, this is what she says, talking about Hitler, he somehow, even for evil, moved and were able to do these things. It's terrifying, but that's what can happen when leadership isn't acknowledged and goes untapped or undirected. Right? And she said, good or bad, some of these leaders emerge as good or bad, and even though we don't like it, Hitler was a great leader, she says. Now, after being made aware that many people were offended by her statements, Fox responded saying that her words were actually taken out of context. I'm sorry, how do you take that out of context? Saying that Hitler was a great leader, even good or bad, whether we like it or not, and then comparing this black student's leadership abilities. And mind you, this black student was leading teammates to speak out against those amongst them who they felt were being harassed and treated, in a discriminatory way. Sorry, let's just say racism, right? So she was mad because he was getting other people to speak out against racism. That's what the problem was. Karen didn't want him to complain about it. That's often is the case. Now I find it interesting that Karen was more upset about these black students being led to speak out against racism and harassment that they were being put through, rather than acknowledging the racism and harassment that they were being put through. So she didn't have a problem with the actual acts, but she had a problem with them speaking out about it, which is often the case with these Karens and Kens. And so she goes on to say, not only were her words taken out of context, Karen says, I am sickened and horrified that a discussion that included diversity and leadership was taken out of context and used in this manner, and only a selected sentence of audio was shared. Fox later revealed that she issued an apology to the students for the controversial remarks. Well, of course, she began to mail-splain, and quickly, I'm sure. She says, I have apologized to the students, faculty, and college, and the public, for my poor choice of words. I'm trying to describe negative leadership in a lengthy conversation lasting over an hour. I used a momentary horrible analogy. This was never to be associated with the students. It wasn't. Then why did she choose to use Hitler as an analogy? Because if I'm not mistaken, when you use analogies, you're using them to compare one thing to another. So is she crazy, or does she think we are? I'm sorry, Karen, not trying to buy it. She says, I am deeply sorry to the college and its community. I only hope that our previous accomplishments define my work at the college and not this sad, unfortunate phrase. I absolutely cannot with some of these people. She absolutely knew what she was doing. She meant what she said, and that's the comparison that she chose to make, because what she wanted to do was, in fact, demonize and vilify that student in the worst way possible by comparing him to someone like Hitler, whom many people cannot stand, right? She wanted to do that because he was speaking out against racism. So I'm just curious as to how any Black person speaking against racism and a whole system of wannabe supremacy, how can you possibly compare them to Hitler, who went around committing genocide and killing people and committing inhumane acts? I'm just curious. You see, there is no comparison. But isn't that what the devils do? And like I said, she hasn't compared the Biden administration to Hitler. So why would she compare this student who's just fighting for social injustices to cease? I'm just saying, make it make sense, Karen. So anyway, with that all being said, everyone please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure you click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live.